Welcome back to the Strong New York podcast. I am your host, Kenny Santucci, and welcome to another great episode where we have some extremely strong people who are going to tell us about a very strong brand. And today we have the boys from Kinetics here, Peter and Devon, and they're going to tell us all about their product. From my understanding and what I've seen in the past, ketone has been a very hot word in the health and wellness space. Everyone's talking about it, but most people don't even know what the hell it is. So these guys are going to explain to us how they took it, stuffed it in a drink that actually tastes good, because the big problem with ketones when it first came out was it didn't taste that well. And, I think this is one of those spaces, like every other industry in the world, that is just getting oversaturated and over talked about. And, but most people really don't fully understand it. So hopefully you guys could help everyone out understand what ketones are a little bit better and how you guys put it in the drink. So welcome to the show, boys.
Heck yeah.
Glad to be here.
Great to be here.
So first of all, we always like to start from the beginning, but let's start from right now. I love when a movie, it's like present day and then it kind of rewinds back. So where are we at with the brand right now? It's 2025. I'm sure when you guys first started this, most people had some questions on it, but I think people are starting to understand a little bit more. But like, where does the brand sit right now? Like, where do you guys categorize the brand and where do you see it doing really well?
Yeah, we've been at this for 5 years with this company now. Started learning about ketones 7, 8 years ago. So it's just been a whirlwind. Every week we're finding some new improvement, some new partner we're working with. So it's been a wild ride, and we've just sort of been holding on tight for it right now. What we've been coming up with recently are new innovations on our flavoring. Because as you said in your intro, people are familiar with ketones. They know that they're drinkable. They know they taste terrible. And what we've really figured out how to do is how to make them taste great. So good that even my kids will drink it. So it's been a constant innovation, working with different flavor scientists, working internally. How can we maximize the efficacy of our active ingredients while still making it taste good? And there's a true science behind all of that. So we're really in the functional beverage category with what we're doing, because not only is our ketones giving you energy, but they're a signaling metabolite. So they're actually helping your brain get energized as well. So much that we've seen an increase in electrical brain activity. We've been doing some MRI brain scans that have been showing an increase in NAD+ levels. And we're just really excited about all the different facets of what ketones can do for your body to have you mentally prepared and focused to perform, whether that's in the gym or in the workspace.
It's a brave new world after the pandemic, I feel like. There's so many words and so many things that no one ever even knew about before the pandemic. NAD and ketones, and a lot, like the average American didn't know about a lot of this stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching the show are going to be like, what in the hell are they even talking about?
That's the number one question we get.
Yeah. And
what the heck is a ketone?
Well, one of the questions that I get is, because when I've had it and I sell it at the gym, both my gyms, people are like, can I give it to the kids? People ask, can I give it to my kids? Is it safe to give it to my kids? Where are we? You said it's a functional beverage. Where do you guys stand when you're giving it to, like, hey, I'm going to deliver this to a family. Everybody could take it.
100%.
Yeah. Safe
for your kids. Ketones are their nature's super fuel. Your body naturally makes them when you're burning fat for energy. So when you're fasting, your body starts burning fat for energy, and it converts it into ketones, which is why you end up feeling great. Once you get past the hunger part of fasting, you feel fresh, you feel sharp, and that's the ketones, because your brain loves ketones. They're super clean, super efficient. So there's no caffeine in Kenetik. So the difference between a typical energy drink and a Kenetik is energy drinks give you caffeine, Kenetik gives you ketones. And ketones are good for you, and they make you feel great.
So that you would consider it a separate category than than an energy drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a supplement. We actually, at the very beginning, went and got our FDA certification to have it classified as a food. So it has what's called GRAS status, generally recognized as safe. And that means it can be a food ingredient. And in fact, when we were first starting to experiment with flavors at my dining room table, I was often giving some to my son, Micah, and just be like, hey, is this drinkable? Is this drinkable? We wanted to find something that even Micah would like. He's 10 now, but at the time he was much younger. So
well, because you give anything to any kid under the age of like 13, I feel like, and they just love sugar and shit. Just think of the stuff that we were eating at like 13. Okay. My nephew's 3 and he'll eat candy and shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it makes my teeth hurt just watching them. So you really can't go by them, but like at the same time you need to, because you want it to be flavorful enough that a kid would like.
The other stuff that was out there was tasting like gasoline or bile. It was really off-putting to a lot of people. So if we found something that was across the board, everybody was enjoying, including our own kids, we knew we had a winner, and that's how we found a flavor to launch with.
So coming out, I mean, how hard was it to explain to people? One of the problems that I have in my business, whether it's my gyms or the event, it's explaining to the general idiot, because I feel like most people just won't even think to look into anything. Yeah. They'll just judge things right away. It's the people who read like the headlines of a newspaper and they're like, oh, that's what's going on. It's like the headlines there just to capture you. Most people won't even look into what a ketone is, and they'll be like, oh, it's a supplement, it's an energy drink, I don't want it. Yeah. How hard is it to explain to people what it actually is, and how much education are you guys doing? Things like this, how much are you guys educating the general public on what a ketone is and the benefits of it?
I can talk for hours, and I love to talk for hours about ketones and what it is, but every time I do, people's eyes roll in the back of their heads.
They don't give a shit.
Okay.
It's like good or bad. Is it good or bad?
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Is this the new one?
This is the new flavor. Yeah, so that's a strawberry peach with the new recipe. So you'll notice a lot less of that sourness on the back of the tongue there that you were tasting initially. Much smoother, same amount of ketone, same efficacy, increases your blood levels, the same amount with the BHB, but we really smoothed it out.
So, I mean, you guys are obviously the experts on this. My background is in training. I have a couple certifications in nutrition and stuff, but from my understanding, the way I explain it to the average person who wants to learn more, and the simplest way I say it is, ketones are looked at as just a cleaner fuel, right?
Yeah.
So you could get your fuel from either carbohydrates or fat.
Yep.
Either one of those burns as a fuel. Fat's obviously a better form of fuel, and that's essentially what this is.
And ketones, I think of ketones as a fourth macronutrient. There's a great
this actually does taste great.
Yeah, right? It's if you know ketones, they're famous for tasting terrible. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to make ketones taste good. And that's what our mission is, to make them accessible to everybody, because they're so good. They're so good for you. We got to get past the education barrier. We got to make ketones a household name. One of the parallels I like to make is, protein, if we simplify it, protein supports your muscles, ketones support your brain. They're a macronutrient.
That's a great way to put it. It's so simple, right? Because the brain is so important, and we don't think of every time. The other day I was explaining to somebody, if somebody's bone is broken, you go to a doctor, they fix it. If somebody's brain is broken, the first thing, it's like, put them in a home. We used to give people lobotomies and stuff. Like, I think there's ways, we haven't figured out the science on how to effectively help people with, we're seeing it now with psilocybin and a lot of these what they're calling miracle drugs, a lot of these psychedelics and stuff. They're seeing people brains kind of come back around, right? And then you could fix it. And then with Neuralink, and now with exercise and ketones and things like that, like, I think we're starting to figure out how we now fix the brain.
Yeah. And that your brain is central to your performance in everything, whether that's, crushing a PR at the gym, or doing something creative, or talking on a podcast.
Yeah.
You feel good if your brain is firing. And in order for your brain to work right, you need to fuel it right. And that's what ketones do.
I think it's so important too, because like if you are mentally in it, whether it's, you're biking up that hill or you're doing a marathon or you're trying to get that PR like with weightlifting, if your mind isn't there, your body's not going to do it. And as soon as the negative thoughts start to creep in, like, oh, I'm starting to get tired. Oh, I don't think I can do this. That's when your muscles are like, hey, your brain's out. I'm out too.
Yeah.
But this really helps your brain stay dialed in so you can stay focused, so you can actually get over that hump and hit that new goal.
Well, I think you'll hear a lot of people nowadays. They're like, I have brain fog. I lost train of thought. Like all of that is pretty relevant. And somebody's competed pretty much my whole life. The days my head's not in it, I never do as well.
Yeah.
With anything. Yeah. There are days I could go in the gym and just go and rip and work out. And then there's other days I'm like in my head and I can't figure out what's wrong with me. And I think a lot of that is brain functionality.
It is. Yeah. And to your earlier point about how your brain function affects your quality of life and your health span and your ability to live and to live independently long into your life. Neurodegeneration, cognitive decline is a huge thing. So our standard diet, which has carbohydrates all day long.
Yeah.
Carbohydrates create oxidative stress, they create inflammation, and the more you're exposed to it, the less the more difficult it is for your body to actually process it as energy, because it relies on insulin, and your body becomes insensitive to insulin, which means that you can't use those carbohydrates effectively, and you end up with a brain energy gap. Mm-hmm. You're not fueling your brain cells aren't getting the energy that it needs. And that leads to, in addition to the inflammation and the oxidative stress, which damages cells, that leads to cognitive decline. Your brain cells don't function. Now, ketones close that brain energy gap. First of all, you don't need insulin. Your cells don't need insulin to draw ketones into your mitochondria to produce ATP. So if you're fueling your brain, you're fueling your body with ketones, you're getting a very efficient, very easily accessible source of energy to fuel your mitochondria the way it needs to be to keep your cells healthy. Peter mentioned earlier a new study, and this isn't published yet because they're continuing to capture data, but the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, Dr. Corindy Weir's there. She was at the NIH for a long time working in the Institute of Substance Abuse, and she studied recovery from alcohol use disorder. She's very much a foremost expert on brain energetics. She's doing a study using MRI imaging and very early results. She just sent us an email the other day saying, this is insane. I have given the participants in this study 3 Kenetics a day for 3 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Mm-hmm. I measured the brain before and after that 3 days. And what she found was NAD+, which is an indicator of mitochondrial function and mitochondrial health, increased by 20% after 3 days.
Huge jump.
Huge jump. And as you age, your NAD+, it naturally declines, leading to cognitive decline and so forth, because your brain cells aren't working and they aren't healthy as they were when they were young. And so ketones directly, because they are such an efficient fuel source, directly improve your mitochondrial respiration and their ability to produce energy.
So what's your background?
My background is in engineering and science. I did undergrad at UC Berkeley and master's degree at MIT.
So now how'd you guys meet and kind of come up with this product?
Devon's my brother-in-law, actually, and I started off in food and beverage as an entrepreneur. I was opening up a bunch of businesses, and
This
eventually
was a perfect storm.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Well, I knew he was always kind of waiting in the winds for something to come around. And I really started to get into health and wellness, and we started working out together. We were doing CrossFit and whatnot, and learning a lot of different things, and eventually learned about ketones probably back in 2016, 2017 through a podcast, and began exploring with the diet and learning more about it. But the diet was impossible to maintain. You can either do this fat-based diet or you can do fasting. So essentially you're starving yourself to get ketones, which you'll notice you do feel a benefit from doing intermittent fasting. I mean, it's definitely a buzz. It's fantastic.
The first couple of times you do it, it's definitely more effective than as you continue on.
Exactly.
Like the first couple, first
You notice that contrast.
yeah. There's definitely a difference for sure.
And so what's happening when you're fasting is your body is just generating ketones, endogenous ketones. You're burning the fat you have stored up in your liver. It's converting into BHB. And so we were really fascinated with the diet, but it was too hard to maintain. So we're trying to figure out how can we get these ketones without having to do this crazy diet or starving ourselves. And so that's when we figured out a way to actually manufacture the BHB itself, which is the actual ketone your body makes, but we make it from plants using a fermentation process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's where most people are like, how the hell are they pulling this out of their ass?
Yeah.
So take us through that process.
So we figured out basically through reading other patents and doing a bunch of research on it, we discovered that from sugarcane, you can basically feed it to different bacteria and it will output the molecularly identical ketone that you make in your body. You can make it from plants instead. Still didn't taste very good, so we had to figure out how to mask that and turn it into something palatable. And so over the course of 3 years or so during the pandemic, which gave us time to figure this all out, we ended up coming up with Kenetik and a couple of these different flavors there.
So what's a recommended dose? Like if somebody's like, all right, how much of this should I be drinking?
Well, apparently 3 a day is a longevity protocol.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if what we're seeing from the University of Pennsylvania, I have 3 a day. I drink 1 in the morning to start the day. Productive. When I'm starting to get foggy in the afternoon, before a workout or after a workout, it's great to feel refreshed quicker to recover from a workout.
Well, you definitely have a big fan in Jack Daly, because when we were at his place. Even when we were up at it, I worked out with him in his place in the Hamptons as well. And he had a fridge full of it.
Nice.
And he's like, yeah, I haven't eaten anything. I just had 2 Kinetics today. He's like, I'll probably have another 2. So shout out to Jack Daly, guys. If you don't know who he is,
Jack is the man.
Go buy yourself a TRX and you'll find out really quick who he is. Yeah, shout out to Jack Daly, owner of TRX. Guys, if you don't own a TRX or have one at the gym, go get one because it is, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest tools to hit the gym market in the last 30 years.
I have one in my house. I use it every day. I've met Jack so many times. I love Jack. He's fantastic. I've done a workout in his backyard with him.
Brutal.
He killed me.
Yeah.
Destroyed me.
I'll tell you what, me and him worked out at the TRX office a couple months back. It was just me and him. He might weigh 160 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
He's benching 225 for reps. He worked his way all the way up to 300. The guy's a fucking monster.
An animal.
Yeah. And he's pushing 60.
Yeah.
It doesn't
so
show.
impressive.
It doesn't show.
It's so impressive.
Will run circles around you with pull-ups,
I tell
push-ups.
I tell him all the time. It's like he gets me so fired up. Like I love being around him because he gets super excited about stuff, and he is what I want to be like when I'm that age.
Yeah.
Yep.
We met through Jack.
Yeah. In his backyard.
I
got in his backyard. I was like,
General Hardware.
pretty fucking nice. Yeah. He's another one.
That guy's another animal.
Pushing 70 and he's an animal. They both spoke at my event this year. They were both at Strong this year. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So you guys mentioned you did some CrossFit. You guys were into the CrossFit space.
Big time. Yeah.
Yep.
So at that point, I mean, I feel like CrossFit peaked 2015, 16, 17, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I never missed a game. I was at almost every CrossFit games from 2011 to 2019.
Yeah.
It was the height of CrossFit. I was actually working with Fit 8 at the time.
Okay.
I was working
when
with
they
those guys.
started. Yeah.
Yeah. I met those guys when they were slinging cans out of the back of their trunk. And Great product. I love those guys. But what do you think of what happened now? Right, like at one point it was worth $200 million. They were making money from everything, and then they were helping other people become millionaires. The amount of like RX Bar and a lot of these different companies, Perfect Bar. I remember seeing all this stuff sold in like little baggies outside the CrossFit Games, and now these are $100 million companies, and you can't sell CrossFit if you try.
That's interesting. I mean, when I started back in 2009. I was in Central Florida, so working out at 5 a.m. before it got to be 200 degrees and 98% humidity. And it was just, I was attracted to it because, my neighbor introduced me to it. I was a typical, weights machines at a Gold's Gym. And I was like, all right, I'll go check it out with you. I walked up. The music was blasting, people were throwing weights around, and it was a really great community. And that's what kept me going. It was an efficient use of my time. I got a great workout. I got in great shape, and the community was awesome. It was raw. It was just in a nasty, sweaty warehouse, and that really appealed to me. Over time. I don't know, I kind of lost that for me. I had to search around. I found one that was Authentics in Columbia, Maryland. But even then, over time, it got more and more just sort of mainstream and lost the
cool factor.
I lost the cool factor, the community. Yeah.
I say that about a lot of things. As a kid, you want to be the first one who hears a song. And you're like, oh man, dude, you got to hear this song. And then one day you get in the car and your mom's listening to it and you're like, well, that's not cool anymore. When I was in college, I mean, I'm guessing we're all about the same age. How old are you guys?
I'm 46.
Okay.
44.
Okay. So I'll be 42 in like 2 weeks. And I remember my college was one of the first colleges to we were like top 20 schools to get Facebook. And I remember getting Facebook, and you thought you were a part of this like elite group of people in 2005 who all got on Facebook. And then I'd say maybe a year, 2 years later or something, my sister's on it, and she's like 15. And I'm like, what? This isn't fucking cool anymore. And you look back, and obviously, I think one of the best things that Facebook ever did was pivoted and got, bought Instagram and things like that. But when's the last time you looked at your fucking Facebook? And I feel like that's
my
what
grandparents and my mom were like, hey, I sent you a message.
It's like, it's just not worth doing anymore. And I feel it's sad because I think that's what happened with CrossFit is it's at that point where I don't think you could get it back. They would have to acquire something else or something else would have to happen. But the name itself is just, but I think they've made so many people so much more health conscious. I think they made it cool for women to lift weights. I think they made it cool for socially acceptable for guys to work out in group fitness classes. I
think they brought Olympic lifting into the forefront.
Yeah, gymnastics,
great, functional movement.
Yeah,
what a difference!
And it made
that and your typical, machines at the gym.
And even high rocks right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it's just anytime somebody's like, oh, high rocks and CrossFit are different. I'm like, no, it's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's why some of these guys, I mean, Tia Toomey just set the world record for a women's doubles. It's like, yeah, no shit. Surprise, surprise. She's the most fit woman in the world. But I mean, I think it's such an innovative product, but like I think the big question for myself and a lot of people out there is like, how does that even start? Who do you go to? How's this whole process start? Because that's one of the big things I try to tackle on the show is like you see somebody who's got a successful business or even you're working through getting to that point. How do you even start? Like, what are the logistics around starting a drink company? Because there's a lot of people out there.
It's so challenging. And starting any business, really, everything. I've started a lot of businesses now. And it's hard. You first of all, just know that you're going in like CrossFit. you're going to be suffering. And it's better to suffer in a group.
I did not,
find a good.
to be fair, I did not know that when we started.
Well, I didn't tell you that.
Had I known exactly how much suffering, we may be in a different place right now.
Yeah. But that's what's funny. It's like, everybody from musicians I've trained to different people, like everybody's like being naive and having no real sense of how bad it's going to be.
Yeah.
Is the best thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you approach it from, everybody asked me, they're like, the other day I had a young trainer come to me and he's like, dude, I'm going to open up this space downtown. It's like 70,000 square feet. I go, good luck, dude. And he's like, what, do you think I could do it? I go, no, but go ahead. I mean, keep
I hope
telling
you got $12 million in your back pocket.
Yeah. And that's what I told him. I go, dude, you're talking about anywhere from a $5 to $10 million project.
Yeah.
He's like, why? What do you think is going to be that much? I go, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
You can't even conceive what's going to come out of the woodwork that you're going to have to write a check for. And it's going to be game over if you don't.
I'm in my fourth gym, and if you ask me how much I know about opening gyms, I'd be like, nothing.
Yeah.
I know nothing because I still made the same fucking stupid mistakes. And you have to fail and fail and fail. And I'm guessing this was a lot of fucking failure.
And then you also have to innovate at the same time too. And if you're not innovating, with innovation comes failures. It's the only way you learn is through failing. And so you're always kind of like pushing the boundaries with every business that you're doing. And for the drink business, it was very different from what I was used to. And this was first, we just needed to come up with a minimum viable product, something that was good enough that we could send out and start generating trial and build a website and start to get feedback from your customers. And, just even pulling that off was a nightmare to figure out. How does Shopify work? How do you, how are you doing ads on Meta? All of a sudden you got to fire up your Facebook account that you haven't logged into to 10 years because they won't let you run an ad on Meta until you log into your original Facebook account. And that's a whole other nightmare.
That whole process sucks. I mean, Christy handles all that shit.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do it on my personal page and it was an absolute fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Meta doesn't make anything simple to execute on. No. Like if you're trying to sell an ad.
How many times you get in Facebook jail?
Oh,
God. Just shut down.
It's I hate it. I hate it. But you know what? The other day I actually said to another guy who called me up. He lives out in Denver and he's like, hey, my girlfriend's got this space. There's 2,000 square feet. I want to make it a gym. I just want to pick your brain for a little bit. So we sat on the phone for a little bit and we're walking through it. I go, and he's like, yeah, but she's got like this marketing thing and blah, blah. I go, no amount of marketing or advertising could save or build a shit product. So the product has to be perfect.
Yep.
100%. 100%.
And I think this is no exception to that. Like you have to start with a great product. You have to both sit in that room and be like, all right, we got it.
Yep.
That's why we keep innovating.
Yeah.
And when it's actually a pretty simple product, and I guess there's beauty in that.
Yeah.
In simplicity. The ingredients, I'll just run through them because some of them are probably unfamiliar to people. We got obviously carbonated water, but the first one is the ketones, biocycle D-beta hydroxybutyric acid. That is the molecule that your body makes when it's converting fat into energy.
And they make that in a lab just with... We
make it, it's like brewing beer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a liquid. It's a clear liquid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or kombucha, it's very similar. We're converting raw organic sugarcane into ketones.
Basically like a fermentation
process. The bacteria eats the sugarcane and produces ketones.
But there's no sugar in this product.
Right.
That's the cool part. We're taking sugar and we're turning it into a different type of energy that's really healthy for you, that's really hard to make.
Yeah.
So I'll be dead honest with you, and I'm not saying just because you guys are here. I was coming over here. The last 3 mornings, I had a client at like 5 in the morning. I was worked in Jersey till late last night, got in, and I've been running on fucking empty. So that's why that coffee's sitting over there, because I wasn't sure if you guys had product. So I went and grabbed that coffee. I had probably 2 other ones today. And this is the best I've felt over the past 10, 20 minutes since we've been talking.
Yeah.
I feel good right now.
It just makes you feel
like
good.
I just feel like I'm not as foggy.
Yeah.
So it's a testament to the product. And we're not just saying that because we're fucking sitting here bullshitting about it.
Well, it's funny. I find that it makes me chatty. It makes a conversation start. So anytime I like have to do a presentation or go pitch somebody, or if I was in your position doing a podcast constantly, this is what I would have 20 to 30 minutes before every single podcast, because it makes you talkative. And I give it to my guests too.
Sometimes I got to take it away from you.
I get a little
I was telling him, one of my clients, she has it on subscription. She will not start the day without it.
Yeah.
She's obsessed with it. Like every morning she drinks it, and she swears by it and tells everybody about it.
We need to send her some swag.
That's another difference.
Yeah, she would love that. Rachel, I'm going to get you some shit.
We'll do it. Guaranteed.
What I've been kind of doubling this up with, and I kind of turned her on to it because I was doing it in the morning. I'm like, I feel Thesis. Have you ever heard of Thesis?
Yeah, heard of it. Yeah.
So it's a nootropic.
Yep.
So when I'm really like, I have something very important I have to do. I'll take a packet of Thesis and some Kenetik, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. You know?
Nice. I got to try that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great. It's great. I actually have some packets in my bag that I can't.
Love stacking. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're stacking anything else. I mean,
you've got the actual energy source from the ketones, and then you've got the nootropics from the Thesis.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, like, I'll be so much more productive on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another difference between a Kenetik and a typical energy drink.
Yeah.
And caffeine will make you feel awake.
Yeah.
If you need to feel awake, but it'll obviously lead to jitters and a crash. It doesn't make you think better. It makes you feel awake. And then, of course,
it's attacking a different system within the body.
Yeah.
Right. Like
blocks
this is
your
kind of
sleep receptors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's shutting down your sleep receptors and making you feel like you're flying. And then this kind of attacks the brain, kind of makes you a little bit more alert.
Yep.
Fires those neurons a little.
When we first started this, we were both doing CrossFit, and we noticed that we were recovering faster. We were less sore the next day. We could go back to the gym without feeling totally ripped apart.
When you guys first started messing around with it, were you just taking straight ketones?
It was horrible. It was disgusting. We were doing the diet plus.
The first people to make drinkable ketones was in the military.
Yep.
Oh shit! That's where it came. Well, I mean, listen, I feel like
fuel for super soldiers.
Yeah.
When people ask me like, where'd steroids and stuff from? I go, when you're sending 10,000 men out into the middle of the Russian cold, what do you think you should give them to help them survive?
Exactly.
That's where a lot of this shit came from.
Yep.
Exactly.
You're like, all right, we got to make sure people come back alive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And particularly in extreme cold, your performance declines really fast.
Yeah.
Your shooting accuracy, your reaction time. So they made the first drinkable ketones, ketone esters, and supplementing with that took them back to baseline. It completely obviated that performance decline, which is incredible.
Is there like a whole research team and maybe you guys don't know this, but like within the military that just focuses on human performance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
all they do is just
human performance. It's become a huge thing. Over the last several years, they've realized that, hey, we're spending millions and millions of dollars to maintain this expensive equipment like airplanes and whatever. Well, our most valuable asset is
people.
Our people.
Yeah.
Why are we not paying as much attention to the performance and the maintenance of our people? And so that's become a big focus.
When you think about how much they sink into like what I'd consider like a super soldier, some of these like Green Berets and these SEALs and stuff like that, these guys, they spend so much time, effort, money on them. Why wouldn't you make him like he's more valuable to you than any piece of equipment you have? Most of the equipment you can make again. You can't make that guy again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. 100%. Yeah. So the second ingredient in here.
back to our ingredients.
Second ingredient here is it's actually a ketone precursor, R1,3-butanediol. So that is a molecule that your body converts 100% into DBHB. So you get the initial kind of boost of ketones from the BHB, the biocycle, and then you get kind of an extended release from the 1,3-butane-diol. And those two components actually are the two components of the original ketone ester. They're just in a ketone ester, those two molecules are bonded together in a molecular bond. That's why it's called an ester. But when you actually drink that ester, it breaks apart immediately. So it gets metabolized in the same way. So Kenetik is just as effective as those original military developed ketones, but it actually tastes good.
So the potassium, you have 591 milligrams.
Yeah.
Magnesium, 69 milligrams. There's 100 milligrams of sodium in here, but there's nothing else.
That's right.
So this is a pretty clean, I mean, none of these ingredients are extra, like bullshit. There's
none of them. Yeah. None of them. Correct. We got pineapple extract. This is the pineapple passion fruit. Pineapple extract. We got passion fruit extract. There's in the natural flavors. Some people are scared of natural flavors because like what actually is that? Well, in this case, it's just, and I think we're gonna move away from that. There's really no point in having natural flavors on there because what it is a little bit of orange, flavors that kind of don't make sense with the actual can, but they enhance it. A little bit of orange, a little bit of vanilla in there. Yeah. So we just kind of
little touches of the extra flavors to really balance it all out.
Yeah. So we consolidated that.
Solid, dude.
Right?
Yeah, this is great. I just want to read everybody the can. Crafted with 12 grams, brain boosting ketones, sharper focus, sustained energy, faster recovery, no artificial flavors, zero sugar, zero caffeine. I mean, it's as clean of a product as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
What version of the product would you call this?
Ooh. Good question.
Because I'm sure there were 50 to 100.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Easy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Started
4 years of iterations.
Truly. I mean, if we count all of the kitchen sessions in the early days.
Yeah.
I mean,
right? Hundreds. And that's what people see something like this and they're like, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
best of luck.
Yeah. 10 years, here you go.
and
if it works out, maybe.
And to your point on multiple failures, it's true. The one distinguishing factor between success and failure is whether or not you quit.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of continuing on even in spite of those failures. And in order to do that, speaking from experience, I'm stubborn. I mean, that's a thing.
He is.
But but I'm also just passionate about it.
Yeah. You have to be fucking passionate about it. If I wasn't passionate about the fitness industry, I would have given up 10 years ago. Yeah. Because I wasn't making any fucking money. I still don't really make the money I wish I was making. But like, if you don't love what you do, when I talk to trainers and they're like, I don't want to be on the floor, in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I go, well, then stop being a trainer now. Because if you don't see yourself on the floor, that's the job. That's like an attorney being like, I don't want to be in the courtroom anymore. That's your fucking job. That's what you do. And as you get better at that job, that is your skill set that you're mastering. So why would you give up that skill now? And you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, reiterating the product, understanding what really needs to go in there, perfecting that product will take you guys, it's almost been 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Are you guys at where you want to be?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Because I think if you ask the average person.
And will we ever reach the finish line? No.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get close to it, you push the finish line back. It's not somebody else doing it. You're doing it.
So one of the things I ask people, because a lot of the pain points in my business are, marketing, advertising, getting it out there to people.
Yeah.
What are some of the pet peeves that you guys deal with when it comes to this? Because there are times when I've hired, you think you got the perfect photographer or the perfect marketing team, and then they hand you back something. You're like, the fuck was I talking to my ass when we decided on all this? What happened? So what are some of the pet peeves or the pain points that you guys have dealt with that like you're still struggling with?
It's so expensive, marketing. It's just like standing at the edge of a cliff and just throwing bags of cash into the wind. I mean, you could have the perfect piece of content developed. They actually did listen to what you said. You weren't, they paid attention. You had it all dialed in, and you're putting ad spend behind it, and you're getting it all out there, and it just doesn't convert. And sometimes it's because, you're so wrapped up in your own brand and product that you're not listening to your customer. Or maybe you've also advanced over the years. You've been learning so much about what you're doing. You're an expert. You're not explaining the path and not doing the educational process for the life cycle of your customer.
Yeah.
And to be able to dumb it down so they can understand it and get them to see your brand over and over again, learn about your brand, want to get it incorporated into their lives and make it a part of their everyday life. And it's hard to do that, and it's hard to make that journey happen, and then also to spend the amount of investment you need to so that you're getting the eyeballs that you want to get looking at all of that information too.
I think we spent about 40 grand in the last couple of weeks on marketing and advertising and trying to just figure out who we marketing to, how we doing it better, how do we get more efficient at it so we're not spending this amount of money all the time. And one of the things I came across was that you need somebody from the outside so that they could explain it to people who don't understand. And one of the coolest things I ever read, I forget what book I read it in, but it's the scientist and the salesman, right? You're the scientist. You guys know how great this product is. So you're thinking up here when everybody else is down here. Yep. So you're talking at this level and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. And that's how I am with fitness. I'm like, I can't fathom how you get up in the morning and you don't exercise isn't like wiping your ass, or brushing your teeth. How is
breathing
that
for you, right?
How is that not my day is not complete unless I do something. And there's a lot of times I work out 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night and people are like, why do you work? I had to get it in today. I can't sleep. Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about it. Triple H talks. Anybody I've ever admired are these guys who are like, well, I can't sleep at night until I go work out. And because you guys understand so much and how the benefits of the product, when you hand it to somebody, they're like, yeah, whatever, fuck it.
Yeah.
How frustrating is that?
Yeah.
You need somebody from the outside who could just sell it.
It's true.
Who doesn't really know what you know.
Yeah.
Who's a simple bear,
and
like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I need to channel my Winnie the Pooh.
But now, I was sitting with a friend of mine yesterday, and he's got 7 restaurants up in Toronto. He's bringing them down to here to New York. It's called Impact Kitchen. Super clean. I actually think he'd be a great contact for you guys because he'd probably sell this in his space.
We should send him some samples.
Yes.
Love it.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
But we were talking about his team and how he put together this army of people he now has to build this brand and how they wrote this ethos out, and it's clear and concise who they are and what message they want to push. Have you guys done any, drills or activities like that to really sit down so you could hand it to somebody and be like, okay, I understand what this product is and where you want to go with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you done that?
Oh yeah. I feel like we're always doing that.
Yeah.
Actually.
You're redoing it.
It keeps changing.
Yeah.
Just today on the train up here, I was refining and redoing it and thinking about what is Kenetik to our customers. What really is it at its essence, and how do we communicate that?
And why? Why? Right? Most people will be like, "Why the fuck would I drink this?" Oh, it's going to help you with brain functionality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people, if you see the shit that most people eat, I'll walk into a coffee shop and the only options are a croissant, a bagel, and a muffin. And I'm like, haven't we evolved further?
Yeah.
Isn't it insane?
Same thing. In the train station on the way up here, I didn't eat anything for breakfast. I don't normally eat breakfast until noon. But yeah, walking the train station is just a whole bunch of
shit.
Junk. Nothing.
But they wouldn't sell it if people weren't buying it.
It's true.
So people are still buying it.
Exactly.
But
what
when
drives
it's the
us
only
crazy.
thing available, do you think if there was a healthy option and a junk option, if that was available, which one do you think would sell more?
The junk.
You think it would still?
Well, because the other night I was leaving I go to this other gym. So sometimes I need to get out of my gym because I'm cleaning up, I'm moving shit around. And I'm like, if I just want to go work out, I need to remove myself from my business and go somewhere else where I don't give a shit.
Yep.
And I'm walking past a crumble. You know what that is?
Yep. The cookies.
It's like a fucking cookie.
Yeah.
That the average cookie has like 900 calories.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's 40 fat fucks waiting in line to go buy a $20 cookie.
Yep.
And I'm like, how is this possible? Now, my event is a health and wellness expo. It's the only one in New York. I explain to people, I'm constantly on Instagram and TikTok and all this shit being like, guys, we have the only health. This is where you'll get you'll learn about what you should and shouldn't be doing. You're going to get great products like Kinetics and this and that and TRX and all these brands that I have there. I'm going to teach you how to live a better lifestyle. And the ticket price for you to improve your life significantly is $150. You would think I'm asking them for their firstborn.
Yeah.
It's insane. And they're like, why would I go to that? And I'm like, if you tell me, oh, hey, that's going to help with brain functionality, I'm like, I'll try that.
Yeah.
And if I like it, if I like the flavor, I'm all in. And that's what happened.
And yet people come to us and they're like, $4.99 a can?
Yeah.
You gotta be insane.
You thief.
Yeah. Yeah. But
It's just like,
they'll go buy a $12 cookie.
Yeah.
That's only going to fuck the rest of their day up. Because how do you feel after you eat 1,100 calories worth of sugar?
oh my
You know?
God. Talk about a crash right there. And like, or Starbucks with one of their liquid cups of sugar, essentially. It's not even a coffee company. It's a sugar company at this point, and it's like $9 and you're just loading yourself up for
The thing is,
crash.
The thing is that as ridiculous as that seems, as that is to us, people don't know how bad it is. For them. The education out there, like, do you think they know that there's 900 calories in that freaking cookie?
You have to. I mean,
You would think they do, but I don't think so.
I don't think they even know what that means.
My kids are like, it's like, I don't think they know what that means either. Nobody knows what a ketone is. Nobody, like, I don't think the majority of the population understands the effect of overloading carbohydrates in your life on your metabolism.
Here's another huge aspect of why I'm all for a lot of these products and I'm so involved. We now know that a lot of these sugars and stuff basically they atrophy the brain.
Yes, they
right? It totally affects the brain. When you crash like that and you start to get that brain fog and you feel lethargic and all these things start to happen, there's something biologically going on in your body that with alcohol, we now understand that alcohol is basically a poison for our body. It's affecting our liver, it's affecting our brain, it's affecting our blood health, everything. But people still do it. So I think it's been so culturally acceptable for so long. I mean, look, remember we're all old enough to remember when they stopped having cigarettes in bars and restaurants, and you're like, wow, that's crazy.
What a fight it was to get rid of that.
I know.
It's in the food pyramid. I mean, the biggest food group is carbohydrates.
Yeah.
But you're right. It does over time atrophy your brain. And it's from the inflammation. It's from the oxidative stress. And it's from the insulin sensitivity. Your body gets overloaded. That inflammation and the oxidative stress comes from the actual metabolism of when your cells use glucose for energy. It's like a diesel truck. There's exhaust, and that damages the cells, the surrounding cells. When you burn a ketone, it's like a Tesla. There is no exhaust whatsoever, so it doesn't damage the cells. It also activates your body's natural anti-inflammatory processes and your body's natural antioxidant pathways to protect your cells even further. So you're right. It contributes to cognitive decline, which results from the atrophy of any aging of your brain cells.
Yeah. And now people don't think it's a big deal for like kids and stuff like that now, but basically like all this Alzheimer's and dementia, right? my grandmother passed away of it. My dad passed away of it. They both had horrible diets. And it obviously, you know, now we understand that like a lot of these, what we thought were genetics is, I mean, that accounts for what, 5%, maybe 10% of what goes on. It's all environmental. It's all what we're putting in our bodies, the workouts that we're not doing. So I'm a big fan of the product. I definitely want to push it as much as we can. I'd love to have you guys back at Strong New York because I think you guys are breaking down walls for a lot of other brands. I mean, I know you don't want to hear that, but like even for me, I push other gyms and stuff at my event just because I want more people, because the more user-friendly this becomes, the more people understand about the product, then the more people are going to start to use it. So now, what would you say, how many cases did you guys move last year? 2024.
Last year was last year was actually a breakout year for us. We started at pretty much nothing in January and we doubled sales quarter over quarter.
Great. That's awesome.
And we've been continuing on that clip.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride.
That's great. But like that's the growing pains of a business. Yeah. Now, obviously, you'd love for somebody like The Rock to come along and sip on this and be like, "Oh, this is great.
Here we go."
And now you can ride that wave. But yeah, no, I think helping people understand the benefits of the product and that it's basically a superfood, right?
Yeah.
Like, would you consider it? Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's super fuel.
It's a fuel source. It's just so hard to make on your own when you're fasting or doing that diet. And now you can get access to it anytime.
Easily accessible.
And that's our mission.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to sell somebody in the elevator on it, elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch?
Yeah.
Have you heard of intermittent fasting before? Why is everybody doing it? It's so you can make ketones. Now you can get those in a can, the exact same ketone on demand.
Nice.
Really healthy for you.
Yeah, no, I think the product's great. Guys, if you have not checked out Kinetics yet, by the way, you know what I wanted to ask?
Yeah.
Where'd the name come from? What's the name?
Turning your potential energy into kinetic energy.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. I like that.
And then it has the KE for kinetic energy in it as well.
One of the other things, we don't have much time left, but one of the things I want to go over is art, right? I'm a huge fan of artwork. And I always tell people, like, you don't realize how important it is until you need somebody to come up with something good.
Yeah.
You know? And the can's, it's an attractive can. It looks good. So it's super important. So I don't know how much you involve.
We have a lot of terrible logos we could share with you before this one.
This is iteration 253 too, man.
That's another one that took 8,000 trials.
Yeah. Oof. And this backwards K on there, that's the momentum K. You see how it's got the arrow.
The arrow. Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's so
momentum
fun.
For life,
you
man.
You really have to remove yourself from it when you're looking at the artwork and the logo. Cause like you can see somebody else's logo and you're like, that's great or that's crap. But when it's your own and you've been paying for it to get developed and you're looking at iteration after iteration of it.
And you're looking at 17 different versions of that same one with just like one thing different. Yeah. You're like, they kind of all look the same. It doesn't really matter.
You can't see the forest through the trees at all. You get totally lost.
Oh God, that is a pain point for me. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by. If you have not checked out Kinetics, they could get it at
drinkkinetic.com. Yeah. I believe we got a discount code for you.
Yeah. Please.
Do you have a code you normally use?
Yeah, strong 10, I think, right? Is there a code for everything? Strong anything.
Strong anything. How about strong 15?
Strong 15.
15% off, and then do subscribe and save, and you can get another 15. So 30% off total.
Awesome. Yeah. That's pretty good value. And hopefully we'll see you guys back at Strong New York this year and you guys could explain
Can't
it.
Wait.
We want to do a whole product side of things, like just letting founders kind of explain the products to people and stuff, because I think that's the biggest pain point is educating people on like why I spent the last 10 years of my life trying to come up with this thing. You know, so you're sacrificing yourself for the good of other people. And I truly believe that about most founders. So guys, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. And thank you for watching the Strong New York podcast.
Can we get a quick strong testimonial while we have cameras rolling?
Oh, yeah. Wait, were you guys were, yeah. What was the feedback that you guys got about Strong, like from your team?
You were there, right?
No, I wasn't. Christian was there, but it was
the best thing is that networking.
Yeah.
It was
Job out of it.
Yeah. That's right. Because we were at I think we were doing an event with Lifetime that weekend or something like that. So we sent Nick because we were doing all these bike races and with
Can I say that's a huge testament to your brand? Because he's one of those guys. Bahram's a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a couple of years back, he had reached out to me, wanted me to go work for them and stuff. And he is one of the guys I admire because you would think he's this like fat cat CEO sitting up on a hill somewhere and doesn't associate. That guy's teaching in classes. Yeah. He refuses to have any products in his space that are not clean and substantial and user friendly for the whole family. So that is a huge testament to you guys because I admire the shit out of that guy and he's a fucking boss.
We met him here at over by MSG at the Penn 1 pickleball courts. And he was playing pickleball with Andre Agassi, and we were the sponsor for that. So he was drinking Kenetik with Agassi. It was pretty cool.
That is a huge test.
He's such a nice guy, so down to earth. You couldn't tell meeting him at all. Like meeting everybody, handshakes with everyone, just so warm and friendly.
Guy flies his own jet.
Does he? That's cool.
I didn't know that.
He owns a $6 billion company. Like if you want to talk about a G, like there are very few guys who are that. Like he's that. What was that movie that all the girls like? The guy ties up the chicks and shit, and he rides his own helicopter and stuff. Chris, what's the fucking movie? What's that movie? The girl who like she's obsessed with the guy who flies his own helicopter. He ties her up and shit. He's like what is it?
Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades.
Yeah. He is that. He's that guy. He's that guy. He flies his own jet. He's probably got 8 mansions with like a sex dungeon in them and shit. Yeah.
Now I got to see that movie.
All right. Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll have to get somebody who's actually there, Chris.